señor, al verdadero Lobo de Wall Street, Jordan Belfort.
¡Fuerte el aplauso!
Que se vea esa energía, esa energía.
Microphone on. There we go. How's everyone doing? All right. So let me ask you a couple of questions here. First of all, can you do me a favor? Turn the house lights up so I want to see all the beautiful faces. I can't see anybody. There they are. How's everybody?
Welcome.
Jordan Belfort,
Los dejamos con el gran Jordan Belfort. Un aplauso para Jordan.
Everybody good? Yes? By the way, you gotta love Dimitri Vega, right? Right? Awesome, right? Question, okay? How many people here speak, I can't see it, how many, keep the house lights up so I can see people, right? Great. How many people here speak English well enough or are listening to me in English? Awesome. All right, great, perfect. The reason I ask that, sometimes when I'm talking, I'll tell a joke. I'm a funny fucking guy. Is it okay if I curse? Fuck it, right? You already paid me, you're fucked, right? I'm gonna curse anyway, right? But anyway, listen, so, when I tell a joke, if there's translation, everyone's like, what the fuck did he say, right? No one understands it, right? So I'll know if you'll laugh at what I say that you do speak English, right? Quick question, how many people here want to learn how to make more money? Raise your hand, right? How many people want to have more fun while they're making money, right? Yes? How many of you came here to do both? Yes? Come on, louder, yes? All right. Give yourself a round of applause, come on. All right, so here's the deal. I have just under an hour to speak to you guys, right? So I gotta move quickly, and there's two main topics that I want to cover here, so I'm gonna go right into it, okay? No bullshit, right? So the first topic is something, called your mindset. We usually refer to it as a millionaire mindset, but in this case, I guess it should be a billionaire mindset, right? So what is that millionaire/billionaire mindset? And what that really means is, what are the things? Okay, great, like there's easy closes. If you're gonna pitch 50 people an idea, whatever it is you're selling, right? You're gonna have some, for whatever reason, there are reasons I'll get into later, for whatever reason, they're just like, sure, and they buy. They're easy, what we call laid down sales. The only problem with those sales is they're typically few and far between. Most of the time, people have questions. They have objections. They have concerns. They interrupt you. They cut you off, right? So, while as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, and you're all entrepreneurs, but you're all salespeople here, that's why you're here, right? On some level, right, you would love it. It'd be great if everyone was a fucking laydown. Like, just tell them what you're doing, like, great, I'll buy. But that's not what happens. What typically happens is the vast majority of people are gonna have objections, questions, concerns, and whatnot. They don't just say yes. You have to overcome some inhibitions they have to buying, right? And here's the deal. So in my book, when I talk about being an expert closer, I'm talking about mastering the art of taking the people who are, as we say in English, sitting on the fence. Meaning they're interested, they want what you're selling, they could benefit from what you're selling, but they say, let me think about it. Let me call you back. Send me some information. Bad time of year. I gotta speak to my wife, my husband, my business partner, the fucking tooth fairy, whatever it might be, right? The question really is how do you take those people, and close them now, in the moment? How do you do that? And on some level, your success in the world of business, especially when it comes to sales, is going to be based on your ability to
to get those people, the ones that are not so easy, get those people to say yes. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do as much as I can today with the straight line system. Now, I know I had some people that took some pictures. You all had books, right? So, you know, this is in a book I wrote called, I think it's El Camino de Lobo in Espanol, right? Right? It's called The Way of the Wolf in English, right? So I'm a big believer. In fact, I just finished my 4th book now, which is actually on stage up there. It's called The Wolf of Investing, which is about what do you do with your money after you've made money? How do you put it into the stock market and make a fortune so you can retire wealthy? And that's a super important question. But what comes before that, so that book focuses on, you know, what do I do with my money that I have left over? So I make X amount of dollars, right? I got to pay my bills and so forth. I want to have some fun. I'm not going to be a hermit. I'm going to vacation, party a bit. Nothing fucking wrong. I'll tell you, nothing wrong partying a bit, right? I've done my share, right? But at the end of the day, you want to have some money left over. So what are you going to do with that? How do you put that money to work safely? I'm talking your safer money, not your speculation money, right? So that's what that book covers. The Wolf of It. It's a strategy for investing to get rich over the long term. But getting back to sales here, right? Again, your ability, if you want to increase your income and be more successful at what you do, the impact, having the ability to close the deal at the highest level is going to be fucking game changer for every person sitting here, right? So those are the 2 things I really have time to focus on. First, mindset. What makes up a successful millionaire/billionaire mindset, right? What are the things? And then on the other side of the equation, how do you close the deal? When you get someone in front of you, right, that's interested in what you're selling, how do you close at the highest level? So let me just go back a step. So essentially, one of the overarching principles that I teach, and I really believe this, and in my soul I believe this to be true, I know it's true, right, is that we live in a world of what's called duality. We live in a world of duality. Big word, duality. Meaning, there are, and I'm gonna take my jacket off here, and also, by the way, I think hopefully I have is there a Red Bull back here, I'm hoping? I hope there is, because I don't do Coke anymore, right? You know I did a lot of Coke back in the day, right? So all I have left is Red Bull. It's the fucking only thing I have. It's not as quite as strong as Coke, but it does the trick anyway, right? There we go, all right. I'll take a quick sip of Red Bull, right? So here's the deal. My wife is somewhere out in the audience, and she's always like, you gotta stay hydrated, you gotta keep drinking. So I'll keep drinking so she doesn't yell at me, right? So here's the deal. We live in a world of duality, meaning there are 2 sides to every coin. So if you have up, that means by default you're gonna have down, right? If you have the word start, you're gonna have the word stop. If you have yes, you have no. If you have above, you have below, over, under. Even the digital world that we all live and die by right now with our smartphones. If you have a 1, you have a 0. There's always a yin and a yang, and 2 sides to every coin. So the question is, why would it be any different when it comes to achieving success? There's got to be 2 sides to it, and as it turns out, there are 2 sides, and on one side, as I said, you have what's called the inner world, the inner game of success, right? Meaning your success, your billionaire mindset, right? So watch, you have the inner world of success on one side, and again, it's everything that happens up here between your ears before you go out into the world and take action. That's one side. And as it turns out, guess what? The good news, there's not 1,000 fucking things you have to know. There's literally 4 key distinctions here. 4 things that you really have to achieve mastery over to set yourself up then to move into the other side, which is the outer world. It's fucking, I feel like I'm in the Batman's fucking cave here. It's like crooked, right? The outer world. Okay, which is, believe it or not, 1, 2, 3, 4 key distinctions here, right? So there's 4 things up here, and I'll go through them very quickly here just to frame it for you, so you understand what really makes up a mindset that sets you up for massive success. And why this is so important, by the way, is because and I'll just use fucking my layman's terms. If you're fucked up here, if you don't got it straight up here, I don't care how efficient you are in the world of business, how powerful your strategies are. A, you won't take action when you should. B, you'll have bad days more than you'll have good days. You'll be an emotional basket case most of the time. And you're not gonna have like a clear target to aim for, and it just completely impedes you from succeeding at the highest level. So yes, you can imagine possessing all the strategies. You're an animal clothes, a marketer, business person, but you don't got it straight up here. Then you're gonna suffer badly. So let's go through these things real quickly. I'm just gonna frame them for you. The first one is something called state management. Managing your state, your physiological, emotional state. What I mean by that is there are certain states, and your state is how you feel in the moment. Like for instance, right now I'm in a state of positivity, certainty, clarity, courage, confidence. You can feel it. It emanates from me right now, right? Imagine if I walked on stage and I'm like, hi, how are you? I want to fucking teach you about success, but I'm really not that fucking sure of myself. Does everyone feel good? Yeah. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? He's the wolf of idiocy, right? The point is that when I come out on stage, I better be in a state, in this moment, I better be feeling confident, clear, versus lack of confidence and overwhelmed. So clarity means I'm clear, I know what I want to talk about, I have a vision, I know what I want to accomplish. Overwhelm is like, fuck, there's so much to do, I don't know what to do first, what to do second. So what do? Typically fucking nothing. You do nothing. So while the positive state would be clarity, the negative state's overwhelm. Then you have the state of courage, meaning I don't give a shit what they think of me. I'm gonna kick ass, I'm confident, courage, and I'm not scared or fearful. So fear means like I look up, no, fuck that, I'm not gonna engage. It's like the movie Maverick when he won't engage, when Maverick won't engage. He's being ruled by fear. And then he triggers himself into an empowered state of confidence, and bam, he goes for it. He engages. So you don't engage when you're fearful. And then the most important state of all is a state of certainty versus uncertainty. A state of certainty. You're certain, you're absolutely sure of yourself. Like, just so you know, and I think it kind of exudes out of every pore of my fucking body, I am sure that I know what I'm talking about. I have no doubt that what I teach is right, it works, and I've been doing it around the world for 15 years, by the way, and 40 years in my own companies, right? When I was very young, I was teaching things at work that made people incredibly rich, that took people that didn't have sales ability, that had never been successful before, and I made them incredibly rich. So I am sure of myself. I'm certain. And guess what? What's the opposite is uncertain. Like maybe my stuff will work, maybe not. And when you're uncertain, there's a tone of voice that people have when they're uncertain. There's certain body language, like, you know, this is certainty. It's chest out, shoulders back, feeling walking certain, breathing certain, sounding certain, versus uncertainty. Now, the problem why uncertainty is such a toxic state. Now remember, when I say state, I mean in the moment. It's not permanent. So I could have been, like when I was backstage with my wife and my friends, I'm just hanging out. I'm not, oh, how you doing, fucking guys, my friends? Nice to meet you. What do you mean, what do you call someone that walks around all day long in a state of certainty? What do you call that person? An asshole. We hate those people. So I'm not suggesting that to succeed in life, you have to walk around all day long with your chest puffed out and your shoulders back, talking like you know everything. That's ridiculous. But what I am saying is that in business, you must learn that when you're in these key moments in life, when you're trying to close a deal, enter a negotiation, make an important decision, you need to be in empowered, what's called empowered positive states. And by the way, the reason certainty is the most important one of all is that sales at the highest level is the transference of emotion. Let me repeat that. Sales at the highest level is the transference of emotion. And the primary emotion that you're transferring when you sell is the emotion of certainty. That's what you're transferring to your prospect. Certainty comes from you and you transfer it to the prospect. Now I'm gonna stop with that for a moment. I'm gonna loop back to this when I get into the sales side here, and let me move forward now. So again, you must be in a state of certainty or else you're nothing to transfer, which is why it's so mission critical to selling. So again, just imagine someone, a business person or a salesperson, right? A success-oriented person that walks around all day long in a state of uncertainty, feeling overwhelmed, not confident, and fearful. I don't care what their strategies are in the outer world, they're never gonna make anything of their life. They're gonna sabotage the whole way through. So you must learn, again, not to always be in a positive state, but in those key moments in life when it matters most, you need to be able to trigger those empowered states. That's number one. Number two are something called your belief systems. Your beliefs. There are certain sets of beliefs that we have as human beings that lead us to massive success. They're called empowering beliefs, our positive beliefs. And on the flip side, yin and yang, we have what are called limiting beliefs or disempowering beliefs. Those are the belief systems that lead you to feeling alone, disconnected, lead to poverty, not succeeding. So for example, if you have a belief like, I'm not meant to be rich, I'm not a salesperson, I'm not entrepreneur material, money doesn't matter to me, money's not that important. Really, money's not that important? Anyone believe that shit? Let me just tell you something. I say in the movie, I've been a rich man, I've been a poor man, I choose rich every fucking time and never look back, right? Every day of the week, twice on Sundays, right? Why? Does money buy happiness? Well, I mean, there's a recent study that rich people are happier than poor people, but let me just cut to the chase here. I'll be dead honest. I have been rich in my life and so fucking happy, like so happy and content, right? Pero, I also, también, I have been rich and fucking miserable too. I'll admit it. There's times I've been swimming in money and I'm just, whatever, I'm just not happy. There's other shit going on, I'm not happy. Also, I'm not from a rich family. All the money I made myself, right? I have been poor and fucking miserable. I mean, really fucking miserable, right? But never once, not in my entire life, have I been poor and happy. You get it? Like, I can't be poor and happy. So I'm not saying that money buys happiness, but a lack of money is a passport to fucking misery. It just is, all right? Now, how much money you need, separate issue. But a lack of money matters. Money matters. Money's a problem to be solved. Yes, of course, there are other very important things after that, but there's a certain amount of money that we need to make for food, shelter, medical care, to basic necessities, and to live well. And then after that, yes, there are other things. So you need to solve this money problem. But if you are walking around or you know people that are saying, oh, money doesn't, I can live on love alone. What a bunch of shit that is, honestly, Say, I'll tell you what, on the first of the month, I want you to go to the bank and say, I'd like to deposit some love to pay the rent, and see what the fucking banker says, right? They'll put you in the fucking straitjacket, throw you in the insane asylum, right? Money matters. So what happens though, is if you have beliefs like money's not that important to me, or I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur, I'm not good with money, right? And by the way, we all have some of these beliefs at some time in our lives. What these beliefs, these limiting beliefs do, is they stop you from charging forward when you should, and they cause you to pull back when you shouldn't. And here's the deal. We're all, as human beings, every one of us is held down to the level of our lowest limiting belief. In other words, you could have everything else straight, but one belief, you're held down to that belief. It's like, imagine a beautiful Ferrari, right? Costs $500,000 US. It's cherry red, gorgeous, slick chassis, 12-cylinder engine, 4 valves per, capable of going 250 miles an hour. But If there's a governor on the engine stopping the flow of gas, I don't care how fast the car could go, it's not going over 55. But you're stopped by this one thing that holds you down. It sits on your life and leads you to mediocrity and averageism. So what do? Well, as success-oriented people, and by the way, if I had more time, this is like a few-day event, I would actually take you through your own beliefs. I'd make you actually inventory your limiting beliefs, and we'd replace them. I'd show you how you can actually use certain processes to change your limiting beliefs, knock them out, and replace them with empowering beliefs. But the goal here, just to move on now, but the goal, just remember, is that you have to accept the fact we all have some limiting beliefs. We have to identify them actively and root them out and replace them with empowering beliefs. That's the second distinction. State management, number 1, 2, our beliefs. Number 3 on the mindset side, right? Something called vision focus, right? What does that mean? That means you need to develop a vision for your future. And I call it a fully integrated vision of your future. Meaning, it's not just, I want to be rich in 5 years. It's, where do I see my life in 5 years from now? And most importantly, why must I make that happen? Why do I want it to happen? Where do I see my life? Not just my business, my entire life. What's my business look like? How much am I making? How many people do I employ? How many people have I helped? Where do I live? Where's my wife or my husband? Where do my kids go to school? Have I retired my parents? What charities do I give to? Where do I travel on vacation? How do I just everything? Where is your life going to be in 5 years from now? And why is it absolutely crucial that you make it happen? That's a vision for your future versus a goal, which many people get caught up in just setting goals, and a goal is very different. A goal is short term and has a date, as a beginning point and an end point. And by the way, when you're setting goals correctly, you want to stretch yourself. So very often you're going to set goals and you're not going to actually meet them. You'll get close, but you'll fall just short. But the goal shows you whether you're heading in the right direction or the wrong direction. Your vision is an emotional connection to where you want your life to end up, and your goals are like these signposts along the way that show you whether you're heading in the right direction or the wrong direction. And the other side, so it's called vision focus, right? Focus means training yourself to focus on where you want to go in life versus what you're afraid of or the problems and the challenges that pop up along the way, which is what a lot of unsuccessful people do. They end up focusing on where they don't want to go. They focus on their fears, and here's the toxic part, is that there's a universal law, which is true. What you focus on, you move towards. You move in the direction of your focus, and even worse, you attract into your life what you focus on. In fact, who's read the book? Who knows about the book, The Secret? The Secret, raise your hand. The Secret? Bunch of you, right? So The Secret is a book that focuses on the law of attraction. Now, the problem I have with The Secret, all right, is that The Secret will tell you if you want to be successful, right, here's what you do. You go into your home, close the shades, turn down the lights, right, get into a nice comfortable couch, sit there, relax, and get yourself into a deep meditative state, right? And I'll say, I want you to imagine a check for $100,000 showing up in your mailbox. And I want you to put that out into the ether and attract that check. And you just put it out there, just attract that check, 100,000, visualize it, and actually see it showing up in your mailbox. And if you do that long enough and you focus on it hard enough, well, guess what? A check for $100,000 will show up in your mailbox. What a load of shit that is. I mean, honestly, right? If that's your strategy for success, the only thing that will show up in your mailbox is a fucking eviction notice, right? Your wife or husband's banging the next door neighbor, they're towing away your car for lack of payment. You're like, where's my check? Where's my fucking check, right? Here's the deal. While the law of attraction does work, you need to move towards the things that you want. You need to move. You need to take action. Outer world strategies. So what we do is by focusing, so your vision is what you want to focus on, where you want to go. That's part of it, on the inner game. So you set yourself up, your focus says what's important, what should I be focused on, what should I ignore, right? And it's crucial to not be focusing on your problems. Don't be focusing on the challenges, because remember, what you focus on, you will attract into your life. So essentially, if you're focusing on your problems and your challenges, which is basically, in my book, it's the shit of life, all the shit of life, right? You actually become a giant shit magnet. You get it? You attract shit into your life. So it's on the inner game. The mindset of a millionaire / billionaire is creating a vision of where you want to go in life and focusing on that vision with laser guided precision and not getting caught up in the problems and challenges that you run into, which are sure to be along the way. Bottom line, and also being flexible enough to realize that you have to also be looking for opportunity. Your vision's gonna grow and change and expand as you move through life. That's number 3. Number 4 are your personal standards. In this case, for success, your standards for money, your standards for wealth. In other words, how much money must you have? You cannot settle for less than X amount of dollars. Anything less is a non-starter for you, which is very different than saying, I should be rich. I should make X amount. A should is not a must. Your standard is like your thermostat. It's your set point for money. It's what you must have. And by the way, it's not just for money. You could have a set point for everything, for personal relationships, a set point for how you keep your body. So you might have like a really high standard for making money, a very low standard for your health and keeping yourself in shape, and you'll end up being wildly out of shape, die young, rich, because you don't put attention to things that you have low standards for. So your standards are not just for money, but let's keep with money, right? There are people with incredibly high standards. I have a high standard, like I'll just let you know mine. If I'm not making $10 million a year, I'm upset. I feel, and listen, it's a very, right? Good, right? It's a lot of money, right? That doesn't mean I always have made $10 million a year. I made a lot more some years I made less. But if I make less than that, I'm fucking running double time. I'm working overtime. I am not settling. I'm uncomfortable. I'm feeling angst, right? Seems like a lot, right? But I have a friend, a very close friend of mine, is a billionaire. I won't say his name, he's a very close friend, one of my best friends, right? You know what his overhead is each year? He has to make $75 million a year to break even. He makes less than 100, he feels poor. Then you have someone, like for example, Mother Teresa, who didn't care a bit about money, yet she felt rich. It wasn't, her standard could be 0. But there's some people who have a standard for 100,000 a year and they're fine. So the question is, what is the right standard for you? Like, what is your standard for money? So let me cut to the chase here. So what you have here is this sort of intersection between number 3, what's your vision? What target are you aiming for? What do you want your life to look like? So you have this sort of option. You have a champagne vision, the best of everything. You want to have the big house on the hill, a yacht, fly first class or even private is better, I can assure you, right? But you have the champagne vision, right? And then you have what? Do you have a champagne standard or do you have a cerveza, a beer standard? In other words, some people, and by the way, just so you know, in a room like this, you don't really find that. You don't find people that want all the best in life. They have a great vision, a life of wealth and opulence, but their standard is bullshit. They're not willing to do the hard work. Now, the truth is, in a room like this, you don't find those people. Why? They don't come to rooms like this. They don't show up here. They're dreamers that sit at home and just dream of their life and fucking complain all the time. They don't show up to better their lives, to learn shit, to get to the next level. But what you have in a room like this very often, very common here, is you have people that have high standards, like you want to be. Who here wants to be rich? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Turn the lights up. Who wants to be rich? If you want to be rich, stand up. Stand up. Who wants to? Everyone. Stand up. Whoever is. All right? And give yourself a round of applause. Come on. Question. Who's willing to do the work? Say yes. Right? Yeah. Say it again. Yes? Who's willing to go the extra mile? Yes? To learn new things? Yes? All right. Give yourself a round of applause. Come on. Take a seat. Sit back down. You earned the seat. My point is, in this room, yeah, everyone stands up and fucking yes, right? You're the exceptions to the rule. You are. You're special. That's why you're here. You want more out of life, and you're willing to do the fucking work. But what many of you probably lack at the highest level is you probably haven't thought about really where you want your life to be in 5 years from now at a very deep level, and attached what I call the why. Why does it matter to you? Let me tell you, I'll give you an example of my why back in the day, right? It's something I get asked a lot by journalists. I do interviews very often, right? They say to me, it's amazing, Jordan, you lost all your money when you were in your 30s. You went to jail, right? Terrible thing. That wasn't in the worst jail in the world, I'll admit that. I wasn't like getting butt fucked in jail. It wasn't that bad, right? But jail sucks. No matter how you slice it, jail sucks, right? And it's very easy to get negative in jail and to waste your time away. But when I get asked by journalists, they say, how do you go to jail and you taught yourself to write and you come out with this amazing book that's like, how did you do that? How did you stay positive? How did you come out stronger than when you went into jail, which is almost unheard of? What was your secret? And I'll tell you what it was. It was because I had an incredibly powerful why. There was a reason why I had to come back. I'll tell you what it was. Because I'll tell you, jail does suck. Even nice jails, they do suck, right? And there were many times when I was in jail, especially at nighttime, when you're in your bunk, alone with your thoughts, and you can think of all the mistakes you made, the people that you hurt, the people you let down. I, at the time, had 2 children. They were 9 and 7. And the night I had to tell them that I was going to jail was like, it was just, imagine the worst night of my life. They're crying hysterically, I'm crying, and it was just fucking god-awful. And then I go to jail. And I will tell you, when I started writing was difficult for me. And there were many times I felt like I couldn't go on anymore. And whenever I felt that, usually at nighttime, when I was in my bed alone with my thoughts, when I felt like I couldn't go on, I was gonna give up, you know what I did? I would close my eyes and imagine the faces of my 2 children. My children were my why. Everyone get this? I wanted to prove to my children that their dad wasn't a loser. That their dad was not going to give up, that their dad was like a criminal. No, that I made mistakes, but I'd come back even stronger. We all make mistakes. I don't care where you are in life right now, on the top or bottom. No matter how far you've sunk on the totem pole of life, of love, of relationships, of money, doesn't matter. If you're willing to put one foot in front of the other and do the work, and do the fucking hard work, you could come back and get rich again. You could accomplish anything. But to do that requires a mindset of resilience, of not giving up, of not settling for anything but massive success. And to ensure that, I tapped into the most powerful why in the world, the love of my children. Just remember this, you don't need to have kids, or not, but your why is never gonna be about you. It's not about what you want. It's about the people that you love unconditionally. About the causes that you believe in, your community, the country, whatever that might be. When you tap into what you want to do for others around you, you become fucking unstoppable. Unstoppable. And when you combine that, by the way, it's true. And when you combine that with a vision for your future, like where do you really want to be in 5 years, and make it bold and bright and just fucking, you become fucking unstoppable. And then your standard is like, I'm never gonna give up, I will not settle for less. Your standard is the insurance policy. I'm not settling for less. I'm not gonna quit. I'm never saying die. Those two things work together. So what you need to, so my question is this: what's your standard? There's no right or wrong answer. It's personal to you. Each and every one of you, it's personal to you, but it needs to be congruent. Congruent, equal to your vision. They have to be congruent with each other. Champagne vision, champagne standards work together to create massive success. Bottom line. So, and how do you know, by the way, if your vision is correct? Well, guess what? There's a difference between getting up and forcing yourself to do the shit you know you have to do every single day to achieve success, even when you don't feel like doing it. And by the way, a big part of success is getting yourself to do the shit you know you gotta do. Every day, not one day in, day out, even when you don't feel like doing it, is a huge part of success. And by the way, when your vision is correct, it's bold, it's bright, and you know your why, you will not only be able to do that, but you'll jump out of fucking bed in the morning and seize the day. You'll feel happy, you'll feel empowered. It's the gift you give yourself. So these four things in total, right? Your ability to manage your state. 2, having empowering beliefs. 3, a vision, a bold vision for your future, and learning to focus on that vision correctly, ensuring that you have the highest of standards. These 4 things make up your success mindset. And that then sets you up to achieve success in the outer world, where you have 4 key distinctions. The first I call the rules and strategies of business and entrepreneurship. In other words, business has rules. If you don't obey those rules, if you break the rules of business and being an entrepreneur, you're gonna feel pain. So what happens very often is people try to go out there, they have a vision, they'll look to seize or latch onto a business or an idea, but the idea is flawed, it doesn't work, it hasn't been well thought out, and they fail. So you must learn there's actual rules and strategies for being an entrepreneur or a business owner. Now, it gets easier when you're part of a large company that's figured it out for you, but just remember, this must exist. Now, on 2 sides, there are 2 sides to this. On one side, you have doing what's called, I need to learn to fail elegantly. Meaning, knowing how to fail elegantly. You have to learn how to be wrong. In business, as an entrepreneur, you're going to be wrong more than you're right. That's the way it is. So you need to learn how to fail quickly, fail cheaply, and then maximize the lessons learned from your failures, because you learn a lot more from when you fail than you do when you succeed. And then on the flip side, so failing elegantly is one side. What do you do when things aren't working? And on the other side, how do you do what I call succeed wildly? How do you succeed wildly? Meaning that when you have a business that's doing well, how do you grow that business? How do you scale? How do you turn a small mom and pop operation into a massive company? How do you turn a massive company into a multinational concern that does business all over the world? Rules and strategies of business. If you don't obey the rules of business, you're going to feel pain. That's number 1. Number 2, something called marketing. Okay? Marketing meaning, how do I identify who are my best buyers, who are the best potential buyers for my product, and how do I get in front of those people? How do I reach those people in a cost-effective way? That's marketing, right? So again, you can know who your best buyers are, but if you don't know or don't possess a strategy to reach out to those people with a message that hooks them, and I don't mean that in a negative way, it's called the hook in marketing, right? Something that gets them to engage, and either opt in or call you, or you can call them, or walk in your store, whatever. So then you have the opportunity on number 3, which is what I'm going to focus on now, sales, influence, and persuasion. Meaning, marketing is the process of identifying who your best buyers are, bring them into your sales funnel, right? And then 3, sales, influence, and persuasion. How do you close the deal? That's the single most important distinction, bar none. How do you close? So you have marketing on one side and you have sales on the other, right? And then lastly, the 4th distinction here is what I focused on. I said I wrote a new book, right? It's called MSIs, multiple streams of income. So how do you take the money that you make? I know there's a lot of heavy income earners here, right? How do you take the money that you make and invest it wisely? So for example, this book here, and by the way, if any of you read in English, I would strongly advise you to buy it. It just came out. It's the #1 seller on Amazon. You can buy it. It's the top #1. So who here reads in English? Who else reads in English, right? You really, honestly, this shows you the secret to getting rich in the stock market with like a foolproof long-term strategy. Very different. How do you make money? You make money, but then how do you invest the money wisely? So you have on one side speculation, which is cool, where you can make much higher returns, but it's more risky. But then how do you take your real money and put that to work so you can make massive sums of money, so when you want to retire, you have huge millions and millions of dollars. That's this book, and I would strongly suggest every one of you read it. This book is fucking awesome, by the way, and it's life-changing, right? That's multiple streams of income. There's also real estate, of course, venture capital, many things you could do, right? But this overarching, these 8 things together, one of them is mindset. That's this. Then, how do you have a vision. You know where you want to end up in 5 years. You know how you want your life to look. You know what your beliefs need to be like, what your state should be like, right? Your standards are congruent. Next, how do you make that into a reality? That's the outer world, right? So let's now focus here, because I don't have much time, it's like about 10 minutes to go. So let's now focus on number 3, sales, influence, and persuasion, right? What did I say? Sales. I said sales, when it comes to sales, right? What does it really mean? It's called the transference, big word, the transference of emotion. And the primary emotion you're transferring, I said, was certainty. Now, when we think of certainty in sales, what do you think of? You say, well, that the prospect must be absolutely certain that my product, the service I'm offering, is the absolute fucking best, right? They have to love the product, believe it's the best. So imagine a continuum, a line, 1 to 10, and a line in the middle. A 10 means they're absolutely certain that your product is the fucking best. They love it. A 1, they think it's the biggest piece of shit in the world, right? A 5, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, and the others in between, right? 10, they love it. 1, the biggest piece of shit ever. Here's my question to you. When you ask someone to buy, to do what you want, to close, where do you want them? As close to a 10 as possible, or as close to a 1? Where? Obviously, you want them to be at a 10 or damn close to it, right? Question, let's say you do that. Let's say through your presentation, you got them to an absolute 10 on the certainty scale. Will they buy from you, yes or no? Right? You say yes, right? Well, here's the truth. The answer is not yes, and the answer is not no. The answer is maybe. Why? Because what if in the process of getting them to a 10, the way you did it, the way you talked to them, the type of rapport you had, or a lot thereof, made them not trust you? Would they buy? No. So it's not enough that they love the product. They also have to trust and connect with you, the person presenting the idea. And again, you have a 1 and a 10. A 10 means they love and trust the salesperson, think they're the best, most ethical, going to help them for the long term. They want them in their life. They're just a great salesperson. or one biggest piece of shit salesman I ever met in my life, talks out of both sides of their mouth, wouldn't trust him as far as I can fucking throw him. That's a 1. So again, where would you want the prospect to be on the second 10? At a 1 or a 10? Close to a 10 as possible. So I'll ask you another question. Let's say you did that, so you got both. Number 1, you got they're at a 10 for the product, and they're at a 10 for you. Will they buy now, yes or no? Yes? No? Maybe? Good. The answer is not yes and not no. The answer again is maybe. Why? Because there's a third element at play, which is the company that stands behind the product. You represent a company. A company has a product. If they don't trust the company that stands behind the product, even if they trust you, even if they love the idea of it, they don't trust the company, you're not going to close them. Now, what will they say? Let's say one of these things is deficient. Let's say they're at a 7, 5, 3. What will they say so you ask them for the order, so you make your presentation, and when you're done presenting, you ask for the order, and they're at a 7, 5, 5. What will they say? Sorry, I don't trust you. I don't like your company. No, what do they say? Sounds good, let me think about it. Oh yeah, let me call you back. Oh, a bad time of year, I gotta think about that. So the objections that you are hearing as a salesperson are smoke screens for uncertainty. That's what objections are. When someone is uncertain, rather than confronting, I think your product is shit. It's like, fuck you, right? Those are fighting words. Or, I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. Really? That's not very nice. It's not very, cordial. We've been trained as human beings. So, yeah, sounds good. Let me think about it. You get hit with objections. So what we must do, and this is what the straight line is all about, by the way. I strongly suggest that you all study it and learn it. There's many free videos on I have so much free shit out there. I have paid stuff as well, in Spanish, by the way. So if you go to my website, I sell the straight line in Spanish, but you can also get it for free. The Spanish is for more serious people, the paid is for serious people that want to be through a formal program with a graduation process, right? But you can get stuff for free too. But essentially what you're doing with the straight line, why it works so well, is that you're essentially taking someone and bringing them through a sales process that gets them to a 10, 10, 10 in a single moment in time, and you're doing it the same way every time. And by doing that, you turn it into a system that becomes foolproof. So I would strongly suggest to every one of you a couple of things. Number 1, when it comes to mindset, how do you ensure that you have a success mindset? A so-called billionaire mindset, right? It starts by getting fucking brutally honest with yourself. Get honest. Write it down. Make an inventory. If I had more time, I'd give you a sheet, you do an inventory, and you actively work on the things that you're deficient in. And then on the business side, especially when it comes to sales, right, is learn the straight line system, improve your skills, and you can't help but be fucking wildly successful. And by the way, I believe, whether you believe in God or not, I do believe in God. I believe God wants every one of you to be massively fucking rich. God wants you to have a great life, wants you to succeed. He doesn't want you to live in poverty and lack and averageism. So don't think for a fucking second that if I get rich, I'll lose my relationship with God. God wants you to be rich. He wants you to have a fucking great life, do it ethically, do it honestly, and kick fucking ass and have fun. So I love you all, you're the best. By the way, in all seriousness, you should go to Amazon and buy this book. It's already #1 bestseller. You should buy it for your own sake, for your long-term investments. It'll show you how to retire super rich. I love you all. Thank you. You're the best.